皆さんこんにちは。この動画は私が作ったキットを使って泥団子を作っていく動画となっています。このキットの内容にたどり着くまでに私は本当にたくさんの試行錯誤をしてきました。道具や材料、工程が少しでも変わると泥団子の輝きは変わってきます。多くの研究を経て誰にでも自信を持っておすすめできる一つの答えが出ました。この喜びを世界の皆さんと分かち合いたい、そう思って私がいつも使っている道具たちをギュッと集めたキットを作りました。この動画では私が普段行っているワークショップをあなたのお家でそのまま体験することができます。早送りなしで本当に最初から最後まで一緒に作ることができます。これで泥団子作りの基礎はバッチリです。その後はあなたの自由な発想でどんどんあなたならではの泥団子を作っていってください。泥団子には無限の可能性が詰まっています。では、自然と遊び、脳と心を解放する時間が始まります。では、材料から説明します。
This process requires drying time, so it will take 2 days. Clay for making the Dorodango core. Fine-grained sand. Clay for coating the outer layer. A small bottle for mixing water and oil for rough polishing. An egg cup for polishing. A cup for holding oil. A base and polishing cloth. Dishes for holding clay and water. A sheet to lay under your workspace. A plastic sheet for shaping the Dorodango. The only things you need to prepare are water and a few drops of olive oil. Heavier, viscous oils like olive oil work better than lighter, runnier oils. If you'd like to add a pleasant fragrance, you can mix a few drops of essential oil with the olive oil. First, take a deep breath to relax. Now, let's begin. Open the larger bag containing the clay powder. Add the fine sand to recreate the ideal soil for Dorodango. Mix the clay and sand together. Next, measure 33 to 34 grams of water. Pour the water into the bag and mix as if bouncing the soil. If it gathers in the corners of the bag, bring it to the center. Small clumps will gradually form. When the powdery soil at the bottom of the bag is gone, proceed to the next step. Repeat this process of kneading and loosening for about 10 minutes. You can release some air from the bag if it's difficult, but not too much, as it will make kneading harder. Knead as if you are squeezing. Knead a little, then loosen it. Knead again as if you are squeezing. Repeat this process of kneading and loosening for about 10 minutes. If you don't loosen while kneading, it will become too solid and hard to knead. Gradually, stickiness will develop. As the stickiness develops, it will become firmer. It may become harder to knead, but think of it as hand exercise and enjoy it. Ideally, Dorodango is made from clay mixed with silt, which is fine sand. Depending on the region, it is said to be found 30 centimeters to 1 m below the surface. The shallow layers of soil mainly contain organic matter, not much clay or silt. This kit is designed to replicate ideal silt-mixed clay. This way, even those without a garden or living in areas without clay layers can enjoy making Dorodango. the stickiness has increased quite a bit. Keep kneading. Kneading helps the molecules of sand, clay, and water bond firmly. It becomes flexible, stronger, and easier to shape. Proper kneading increases flexibility and prevents cracks later on. Knead thoroughly like in pottery. Straighten your posture, take a slow, deep breath, and focus on kneading the soil. For a more natural feeling, take it out of the bag and knead it in a bowl or bucket. Are you getting tired? Well-kneaded clay shines beautifully, so look forward to it. Focus on enjoying the process of making the Dorodango rather than just the final result. Let me share a bit about Dorodango. Dorodango is a traditional Japanese children's play. It has a rich history going back over 1,300 years. It is believed to have originated as a method for plaster craftsmen to enhance their wall coating skills. It's truly fascinating how simple materials like soil, sand, and water can shine so brilliantly. Children eventually started making them, captivated by the process and the beauty of the finished pieces. Watching their friends create Dorodango with excitement, other children began making their own, spreading the activity across Japan. In Japan, Dorodango has been incorporated into some preschool and school activities. It is said to enhance concentration, creativity, ingenuity, and problem-solving skills. Now, the stickiness is increasing, and it's becoming firmer. It will reach this state. Now 10 minutes have passed, so let's move on to the next step. Push out any material gathered in the corners and shape it into a ball. It is easier to shape the ball with the bag open. Gather it to the center of the bag. Do not squeeze it too firmly from the beginning. First, gently form it into a round shape, then gradually apply more pressure. If you apply too much force at once, it is likely to become misshapen, and reshaping it back into a perfect sphere will require significant effort. Press down on any protruding areas with your fingers and gradually shape it into a sphere. Once a round shape starts to form, squeeze it firmly. Close your eyes and focus on the sensations in your fingers and palms. Feel the condition of the Dorodango with your hands. From here, spend about 15 minutes squeezing firmly and rolling it on a surface to create a beautiful sphere. Prepare the plastic sheet. When squeezing, use the pads of your fingers and the palms to feel for any bumps and shape it by pressing firmly. Close your eyes and focus on the sensations in your fingers and palms. Feel the condition of the Dorodango with your hands. Squeeze firmly. Roll it with both palms. Shape it into a sphere until it reaches this level of smoothness without any bumps. Now let's roll it on the sheet. When rolling, use gentle pressure to avoid crushing it. Roll it, roll it, roll it, and bring it back to the same position. Rolling with too much pressure can distort its shape. Gradually, the bumps will disappear, and it will become a beautiful sphere. The Dorodango slowly becomes a beautiful sphere under its own weight, tightening and hardening. Without sand, it wouldn't harden and tighten like this. When the sand, clay, and water are evenly combined, it becomes increasingly hard like a stone. In Dorodango making, you perform various tasks while touching the soil. During that time, pay attention to the feel of the soil and enjoy the small changes. Concentrate on the state of the soil and the Dorodango at this moment. This can lead to stress relief and mental stability. Now take some time to focus and observe if the surface is smooth and the shape is round. Roll it, feel for any bumps with your fingers and squeeze firmly. Repeat this for a while. So, how does it look? As you roll, it becomes firmer. As it hardens, the sound it makes when rolling also changes. Have you noticed the change? Can you feel how it is tightening and becoming firmer? You should start to feel it becoming as hard as a stone. Pay attention to the sound as you roll. It has tightened up and become quite firm. "15 minutes have passed. That concludes the work for today. Place it on the stand and let it set for a day. Moisture tends to accumulate at the bottom. If moisture gathers in one spot, it can lead to uneven patterns on the surface. At some point during the process, flip it upside down to prevent this." Now let's move on to the second day's process. First, take a deep breath and relax. This is the Dorodango core that has dried for a day. Now take the clay powder from the smaller bag and place it in another small dish. Next, fill the small bottle about 2/3 full with water. Add 3 drops of olive oil and shake it well. Once mixed, pour it into the small dish. Set the lid aside. Place the Dorodango into the dish of water. Roll it for about 20 to 30 seconds to wet the entire surface. Wet the mouth of the small bottle and press it against the Dorodango. Continue polishing for 10 minutes. Slowly move it in large circles to rough polish and shape it closer to a sphere. The key to creating a beautiful sphere is to move in large circles, not small movements. The Dorodango is wet to make it easier to polish. You can add water multiple times during this step, but be careful not to overdo it. The shape you create at this stage will be the final form of your piece. If the shape is uneven, it will be harder to polish later. Aim for a smooth surface without craters or bumps. Polish to create a smooth, beautiful sphere. It's okay if it becomes a bit smaller as you polish. Focus on achieving a perfect sphere. It's fine if the surface feels rough after rough polishing. There's no need to try to make it shine just yet. People naturally tend to get absorbed in the act of polishing. I've heard that some people polish pots and dishes when they are stressed. Becoming engrossed in simple tasks has a calming effect on the mind. A time to polish at your own pace, without being rushed or pressured. Polishing brings a pleasant sense of fatigue to the body. In this way, time spent polishing can provide deep relaxation. Now, let's focus solely on the surface and work to eliminate any bumps. We will flatten dents like these. However, if you only polish the same spot, the shape may become distorted. Make sure to check other areas and evenly smooth out any bumps and dents. Maintain the right moisture level, not too much or too little. Watch the state of my Dorodango and try to imitate it. Now 10 minutes have passed. Let's move on to the next step. The bumps are completely gone. Now we will make the surface slightly sticky so that the next layer of clay powder adheres more easily. Once the entire surface becomes sticky, we will move on to the next step. Sprinkle the clay powder from the small dish onto the Dorodango. Sprinkle generously until the surface of the Dorodango turns whitish. We will rub it into the entire surface. Use this clay powder to create a layer on the surface of the Dorodango. Since the particles are finer than sand, only clay is used here to achieve smoothness. On the other hand, the core is mixed with sand and clay for a stronger base. This time, use the bottom part of the egg cup. Now wet the bottom of the egg cup with water. Then, wet the entire Dorodango to return it to a semi-liquid state. After returning it to a semi-liquid state, you won't use water for a while. Polish for about 3 minutes until the semi-liquid state transitions to a sticky state. When it becomes sticky, wet the bottom of the egg cup with water once and spread it quickly over the entire surface. Then, polish again for about 3 minutes until the surface moisture decreases and it becomes sticky. Repeat this process about 4 more times. This takes approximately 15 minutes. Meanwhile, let's talk about Zen, which is very important to the spirit of Dorodango and Japanese culture. Zen means calm stillness. It is not just a method, but refers to a state of mind. People have around 60,000 thoughts a day, 80% of which are often negative, focusing on the past or worrying about the future. Thinking about the past and future is an essential instinct for survival. However, being overly fixated on them can prevent you from being mindful of the present moment. Modern people are constantly exposed to anxiety-inducing information through TV and the internet. How can we regain mindfulness and peace in the present moment? To achieve this, allow yourself to play and let go of your thoughts. Make the most of what may seem like wasted time. Doing so will create space in your mind. This is a form of training to return your mind to the natural state of childhood. As children, we would cry or get angry, fully experiencing emotions with our whole body, but as we grow older, our thoughts become overwhelming, and that sense fades. It is important to have time to be immersed in something with a childlike heart. By taking time to sharpen your senses and care for yourself, you can achieve the flexible state of mind that Zen aims for. After 3 minutes have passed, apply water once more and continue polishing for another 3 minutes. After 3 minutes have passed, apply water once more and continue polishing for another 3 minutes. After 3 minutes have passed, apply water once more and continue polishing for another 3 minutes. Now 3 minutes have passed. Let's move on to the next step. Wipe the cup with a tissue and wash your hands. Now, from here, both your Dorodango and your heart will start to sparkle. Prepare your mind. All right, let's start polishing. Apply a thin layer of olive oil to the part of the cup that touches the Dorodango. This acts as a lubricant. You don't need to use much oil. Place the cup with the oiled part facing up. Place the Dorodango on top. Place your hand on the Dorodango and support the cup with your other hand. At first, gently rotate it using only the weight of your hand. You may feel some resistance in certain areas. Rotate it while pressing the resistant parts against the cup. Think of it as flattening out the bumps. Make sure not to polish the same spot repeatedly. Rotate the cup underneath as well. Pay attention to the entire surface and ensure there are no areas left unpolished. Continue polishing gently for about 5 minutes. This is the key moment in Dorodango making where your heart shines the most. Savor the moment when the soil turns into a jewel. The experience of simple soil, sand, and water shining in your hands is truly mystical. It makes you feel happy, surprised, joyful, satisfied, and accomplished, doesn't it? This is something only those who have made it can experience. Dorodango is well known in Japan, but it is still relatively unknown around the world. By showcasing these beautiful creations and sharing your experiences, they will gradually spread across the world. Now it's your turn to spread the word. Be sure to share the joy of making and show your creations to many people. How is it? Is your Dorodango starting to shine? Once most of the bumps are gone and it becomes a beautiful sphere, proceed to the next step. Next, polish with medium pressure downwards for about 10 minutes. Be careful. Applying too much pressure for too long can cause fine cracks on the surface. Polish with a bit more strength, but make sure it's not too strong. After this, we'll let both the Dorodango and ourselves rest, and then we'll polish with more strength. Now, for the next 8 minutes, let's polish by rubbing it against the cup with firm but not excessive pressure. You can't see the scenery outside the window yet. Now take a 15 to 30-minute break. Relax and enjoy some tea. In winter, the drying process is slower, so it's fine to let it rest for 1 to 2 hours. All right, let's resume. Let's start the final polishing. We will polish firmly for about 20 to 30 minutes. In summer, it finishes faster in about 20 minutes, but in winter, it takes around 30 minutes. Apply downward pressure, as if using your body weight on the Dorodango. Be careful not to polish the same spot repeatedly. Ensure no areas are left unpolished. Use your hands to feel the surface and sharpen your senses. Imagine having an inner eye on your fingertips and palms. Use your fingers to see the surface. The Dorodango that initially feels soft against the cup will become hard, like a stone. Even after the surface hardens, continue polishing firmly for a while. If not, the shine may be lost by the next day. You might sometimes lose the shine the next day if you're unsure about the pressure. In that case, apply a thin layer of olive oil to the cup and polish again to restore the shine. As time passes, the moisture inside starts to move outward, causing the surface to become cloudy. Polish for 3 minutes before bedtime today, and again for 3 minutes the next morning. Polish slowly with moderate pressure, not too gently, rubbing it against the cup. You can see the reflection of me waving my hand quite clearly now, can't you? However, the surface is not yet like stone. There is still a slightly soft feeling. Continue polishing until it hardens and becomes like stone. Making Dorodango feels like mental training or a form of spiritual practice, doesn't it? Now let's center ourselves and take the next 20 minutes to reflect inwardly. This is meditation. It's becoming even clearer now. You can even see the blue sky outside. Let's polish a bit more. It's shining quite nicely now. You can clearly see the outside view. Now let's polish with the cloth. If the surface becomes cloudy when polished with the cloth, it still needs to be polished with the cup. After thorough polishing, the surface will not become cloudy. It became a bit cloudy just now, which means it still needs more polishing with the cup. This is before polishing with the cloth. This is after polishing with the cloth. Let's polish a bit more with the cloth, and then use the cup to polish again. In summer, moisture evaporates quickly, leading to a faster finish. The polishing time also varies depending on the season and size. The cloudiness has mostly cleared up. Now let's continue polishing with the cup for a while. It's becoming quite hard, and it feels like we're nearing completion. Let's polish it again with the cloth and check if it becomes cloudy. It's still a bit cloudy, so let's polish it a bit more with the cup, and then it's finished. Very few people can make it shine this much on their first try. But with a few tries, you'll be able to do it. And I have tried many different tools up until now. The tool I'm using now is the best. It's my favorite. I have tried many types of egg cups before, but ever since finding this one, the shine has been incredible. Even with the same egg cup, the shine can vary. This cup's thickness, texture, and weight are very reliable. I truly feel that the tools are very important. Since I found something so great, I wanted to recommend it to everyone, so I created a kit. For those who purchased the kit and are watching this video, enjoy the texture that these tools create. Here is how it looked when I started the final polishing. With thorough polishing, it shines like this. This is when it's at its shiniest. From the next day, it will transform into a gentle, natural glow. Occasionally polish it with the included cloth. Take lots of photos of its brilliant appearance on this day.
さあ、これで今日の工程はおしまいです。どうでしたか？楽しかったですか？光りましたか？泥団子はシンプルだけどとても難しいです。これだけ詳細に説明をしても1回では完璧に光ることはできないことが多いです。クレーターができたり欠けてしまったり光らない部分が出てきたり、でも落ち込む必要はありません。翌日完全に乾燥するとその傷やへこみは芸術的な模様となって現れます。自然と遊んだかけがえのない時間を過ごしたという思い出の柄となります。完璧でなくて良いのです。完璧でなくて完璧なのです。さあ、これであなたは完璧に泥団子の作り方をマスターしました。泥団子の歴史や日本の精神性、禅やマインドフルネス、そんなお話もありましたね。ぜひ泥団子を日々の生活に取り入れてみてください。夢中になって遊ぶ自分を許す。思考を手放す。そういう時間を持ちましょう。では、何度も見返して作って、基本の作り方を覚えてしまいましょう。そしてこのメソッドは私の考えに過ぎません。次はあなたの自由な思考で研究し、 試行錯誤してあなただけの新しい泥団子を生み出してください。では何度も見返して作ってね。高評価ボタンを押して楽しかったよなどコメントを入れてください。じゃあまた。